Hello, my fellow YouTubers. This is Roy back again. Tonight I'm going to put myself on a stage that I'm not really comfortable with, but I always been wanting to do this video, and tonight's the night. Here we have a replica of Ed Leedskalnin's wheel using a motor block. I got it out of a junkyard. It's a Ford Escort motor. The V-shaped magnets, I had to hunt them down in old junkyards around America, and hard to get, but you can hunt them down. 120 of them. They came off the Model T Ford 1908 to 1914, maybe 1913. Then they started coming out with an alternator generator at that time, I guess. Um, so that would be these magnets, and they're all. Let me see. Where's my compass? They're all different poles. Okay, north, south, north, south. You got a neutral section in the middle. And obviously this rod you see sticking up there is attached to the flywheel, which is the bottom section here, which is attached, the flywheel is attached to the to the crank. And then through your bushings you're attached to the block. So you got a lot of steel there. So we do have the ring. We got two of these rings. One's on top, one's on bottom. I guess that's to sandwich them together, make them tight. They are isolated from the magnets, so we have no continuity to the ring or to the block through the magnets. So it's definitely separated. Uh, this ring here has a twofold. One, when you tighten down over here, the back side of the magnets level up and down by tightening these top nuts. So that's an important adjustment there. But also this ring, it's hard to tell investigating an edge wheel without literally digging in the cement. But I believe that it's isolated also, just like this. And then also that the ring on top is isolated from this lower ring. The clover, we'll call it the lower ring. Um, the reason I believe that is because you can create two poles here isolated from each other, the north and the south. And with doing that, if you notice on Ed's wheel, he has a keeper key coming off. And then you'll notice that if you really look down at Ed's pictures of his wheel that people took, even on my old videos, you'll see him also. There's four bolts, and the bolts are backwards, where the nut or just the bolt is facing inward, and the nut part of the bolt, or he actually looks like he used round bolts, which makes sense, are going through the center of these. And um, I still am doing research and more experiments if that rod with the keeper key here was a spark gap of some sort, and if that rod, because he had four rods, and if you take a compass and walk around this thing, you'll see that it changes its poles around the wheel. Okay, and there's four poles here, and they're all focused on the inside. And I believe that's because he's taken that like you would with the meridian lines, the forced magnetic flow. He's taken those lines and he's focused them into a center core. And that's where the keeper, I believe, when these two rings are at a full charge, it'll release through the core of the block, which is holding a lot of magnetism. We'll get into how it's holding magnetism because we're gonna, like I said earlier, we're gonna get into something that I'm not really comfortable with, and I just wanted to show the layout. Then we'll come back to this. Okay. Um, you got the pipe, which is very important. Got a round flange on top. We have the hanging bar that comes over. And then Ed also in his picture has a hook that's hanging down. And if, obviously, if you're turning the wheel would have some type of passerby on the hook. And that possibly could be the ignition that releases the spark gap. Um, Also, on Ed's picture, you'll see there's something sitting on top of the pipe. On the back side of the pipe, in Coral Castle, when I went there, there's another ring that sits right here. It's bolted to this flange here, okay? And there's another ring here. So there is a dual coil thing going up there that's investigating. Part of what I do is research and my own personal research. So what I have set up right here is based on what I think Ed had up there, which is instead of doing the glass jar, I got the plastic. I got a two coil system here. I had a capacitance built in here instead of the glass jar, which would be the aluminum on the inside, PVC in the middle, and then copper on the outside. I also have a coil which is on Ed's wall, which goes down, and the bottom of this coil leans against the pipe. And we'll talk about why it does. And then also I have a center core, copper, steel. It's a grounding rod, but it seems like it's got a coat of outer copper, and then it has iron inside of it, and it runs down also. And we'll get into this video of why we're talking about this right now. And this right here is another thing. This would be on Ed's picture where he has the bar going across with the tie down rods here that go to a valve. He has a drilled in area in a block similar to this. And in the center of that block, he's got a hole, and he's got the bar with wire wrapped around the bar coming to that. And I believe that was to fasten this down, a twofold also, to fasten this down, because with when you turn the wheel and you would have a center core and a steel outer casing that is solid on the back, welded the plate on the back here, and center core of 1.5 inches square stock, just like Ed's PMH we'll get into. It's there. And we're going to go into Ed's books right now, and we're going to go into each of these subjects. So guys, I hope you really enjoy this, because it's something I normally don't do. So let's start off. I got two books. I got this Magnetic Current. I like this one. Just got it maybe 2 months ago. It has the pictures, and I'm a picture person. I'm a visual guy. I need this one that came from Coral Castle, okay, which has the same writing as that writing, without pictures. So each one of you guys who choose to see or just read, you got two options. You can order these through Coral Castle, I'm sure, or you go online on Amazon and punch in Magnetic Current, Edward Leedskalnin, and this book will pop up. It's not expensive either. It's probably 15 bucks maybe, I think. And then this one here, I just want to make sure we're take the coil, electric current to the coil. Now I'll tell you what happened. So basic, I want to make sure that over here. Okay, yep, that's exactly what I want. Where I want to be. So let's go to this one. We're going to talk about why th- these things we're going to come pull out of Ed's books are why we're going after the pipe, and why Ed, I believe Ed was able to levitate. He didn't have this wheel here when he was building Coral Castle on the second one. This wheel wasn't there. His sculpture and stuff was done at his first location. He possibly had the wheel there, possibly, but I did see something where it said he got as soon as he got the land, he started sculpturing stuff. So that told me, he started doing um, his natural things that he was doing, that he was taught, being a Freemason, being part of a Lativia, being part of a culture who were stonemasons. So he had that knowledge, and there's all the coral. And basically, he applied those at the first location. When he was at the first location, he, at that point, got into electricity. And the reason I put this together is because he already built what he was building there. And he had this wheel there at that point. Later, he had this wheel. And until we find this wheel in Latvia, if anybody out there seen a wheel like this out there or has a picture or a photo, please send it to me. It's very important to track back where Ed had his wheel started. But from the information that I can tell is that he filed for his patent in his old location. And we'll get into the book about his patent and why he left that first location. Twofold. One was he got beat down after he refused the patent office officials, the clerks that came to his location to look at his supposedly patent pending he was doing. He would not give them the stuff they wanted. They wanted it all. He wouldn't give it to them. Shortly after that, he was beat to a, a strand of his life. I'd moved to, and that's where he moved. And the smart thing is, he moved to a brand new road that was going down through Homestead to Key West. A road that was either being paved or it was already a road. Don't get me wrong, but it was like tourism was moving down, and he already had everything at the first location. So he just picked it up and hauled it, and all he was doing there was sculpturing. He didn't have big boulders there, so I don't think he was into levitation at that point. I don't think he knew about what we're going to talk about through his book at that point. But I believe he, at some point between moving at the very end of that first location and moving to his new location, he figured it out. And I guess some of the stuff would be there of some of the videos out there of him not wanting the truck guy to see how he moved them, but he moved them on the flat load beds by himself, and it didn't take long. And I heard two stories out there. One it took a day, and one it didn't take him more than 10 minutes. So who's to know, okay? And just to be a farm boy type of mentality where I just believe in the simplest things, which that is me. I am that guy. I think like the farm boy. So it's hard for me to wrap my head around shit that just you're gonna lift stuff up in the frickin' air, and we still to this day can't do it. And really, Come on now.